This is OpenAI's Symphony, an open source tool for orchestrating long-running agents using an existing issue tracker like Linear to help your agent autonomously complete tasks without any human supervision. But why does an agent have to build it from scratch before you can use it? Does it only support Codex CLI? And is this the beginning of more open source tools from OpenAI? Hit subscribe and let's find out. Symphony only exists because OpenAI hit a human attention bottleneck, which means engineers could only supervise 3 to 5 Codex sessions concurrently before context switching began to negatively affect productivity. This, of course, wasn't going to scale. So guess how OpenAI fixed the fast agent, slow human managers problem? They got rid of the human managers, kind of. Because with Symphony, humans put tasks on a board, a new agent will be spun up to complete that task, and the agent will only involve the human if there's something to review. But how does Symphony compare to similar tools like Multica and Conductor? Well, watch the demo and that'll be made crystal clear. Before we start, however, I just want to say Symphony has the weirdest installation process I've ever seen in my life. Or it could be the most genius way to install something. We'll get to that later. First, however, let's go through a basic example. So I have Symphony running, polling for tasks in Linear to work on. And in Linear, I'm going to create a new issue, which will be to build a Hello World app using TypeScript and Bun. Right now, Symphony isn't configured to work on backlog tasks, so I'll change the status to do and hit create issue. Remember the ID of the task, which is SYN7. So after a while, Symphony picks up on the ID of that task, and a few seconds later, we have a GraphQL validation error, which isn't a big deal and is very easy for Codex to fix. But after that, we can see that Codex has completed the work, has changed the issue from to do to done, and has left a comment here from Symphony, which means if we go to our Symphony workspaces directory, we'll talk more about that later, we can see we have a new workspace with the same ID as our issue. And if we go into that workspace, we have the list of files created for the Hello World TypeScript Bun app. And if we go into the source directory, we can see that the code for that app is over here. And that's essentially Symphony in a nutshell. Now, let's go through how to set it up. So there are 2 ways to install Symphony according to this repo. Option 2, which is what we're used to, we set up Elixir, clone the repo, then build the code and run it using the existing workflow file. Option 1, however, is possibly the weirdest or most forward-thinking way to install something. You just basically give your coding agent this prompt and it will read this spec file, which is more than 2,000 lines long, but it basically gives your agent detailed instructions on how to build Symphony, which is wild because if everyone went down this route, no 2 versions of Symphony would look the same. Some people will have different features in different languages, which would be chaos for OpenAI to maintain and support. But it's also kind of genius, because if you built your own version of Symphony, you would feel responsible for it. You'd fix the bugs, you'd add the features, and you'd essentially maintain it. And if you didn't want Symphony to use Linear or Codex, then that's up to you. Someone built a Go version of Symphony that runs on Charm CLI, and someone else built one that was powered by the Claude SDK. I wasn't that creative, so I put the default prompt into Codex using GPT 5.5 low effort, and it gave me a Python version of Symphony, which makes sense because LLMs are very good at Python. But once that's done, you'll need a Linear personal API key, which you can get from Security and Access, and you can create one by clicking over here. Then you'll have to add that key to your workflow file, which is a file that tells Symphony how to do its job, containing some YAML front matter, which of course has the API key, active states for the agent to know when it can work on a task, as well as the workspace route, and the Codex command, which is the shell command Symphony uses to launch a coding agent. And below that is the markdown prompt sent to the coding agent for each issue. You can access OpenAI's workflow in D file from their repo if you're interested. But as of right now, this workflow isn't fit for a real project. Say I wanted to make changes to my film emulation app that I've been working on. I would need to add a create after hook, which runs after Symphony creates a workspace for an issue, and this hook will first clone the repo to the workspace directory, and then check out to a new branch in that repo. I've also added a run after hook, which runs after Codex finishes working on the issue. So this one stages the files, then creates a new commit before pushing the branch and creating a new pull request with these values. So now if I run Symphony using UV, which was also acquired by OpenAI, but that's a topic for another video, it's polling for new issues. So now if I create a new issue to update the README, just in the section that shows batch processing, to use a wildcard instead of showing multiple files, again, I'll change it from backlog to do, then hit create issue. Now Symphony has picked up on that issue. And if I look at the Symphony workspaces directory, we can see there's a new folder matching our issue ID, which contains the cloned project. And now that Symphony has finished working on the issue, it's changed the status to done and has created a new PR with a link to the Linear ticket and the exact change that I requested. Now, of course, I could change my Symphony code to add a better PR description and to put a link to the PR in the comment, but I'm sure that's very easy for Codex to do. So that's a quick overview of Symphony. If you're already comfortable with or work at a company that uses Linear, then you'll feel right at home with the interface. And if you're a Codex user, then you can use your skills, MCP tools, and plugins that you already have installed. I personally don't use Codex, but I can definitely see the vision OpenAI were going for with Symphony. Imagine you had a team of developers all working on the same project with AI. Instead of having their own personal harness with their own workflow, there can be a central agent with central skills, central tools, central workflows and plugins, and each developer can communicate with that by giving it a task, and they can see what other developers are working on, what prompts they've used, and can see at a glance what other features might affect the feature that they're working on, even though it's very difficult to come up with a feature that won't touch another part of the code that someone else is working on. But as cool as Symphony is, in my opinion, Multica does a better job because it's easier to set up, create and add different agents, and you can even schedule tasks. Nevertheless, I completely see a place for Symphony. It's kind of like the bare bones version of Multica, where you can add the exact features you want instead of having a product that is built for you. So think of Symphony like the Pi harness and other tools like Multica or Conductor as Claude Code. And if you don't know anything about Multica, then check out this video, which goes through everything you need to know about it.